before that focus on character building. So make sure if you have missed, we're having another one during the Black History Month. It's going to be on 23rd, I think, but information on that, but you can also check the website. So that's the Student with King Reading Corner. Boys and girls, can you say that? Student with King Reading Corner. Again. So when you go back to class, come in, you bug your teacher. Did you sign us up? We want to be a part of it at 10 o'clock, is always on Tuesday, but we have one on Thursday. 10 o'clock in the morning, you'll pipe it into your classroom, you'll show it on your bulletin boards or whatever y'all using now. I've been retired for 5 years, so I don't know what you're using now. But make sure you sign up for that. And teachers, remember that. Remember that. Student with King Reading Corner, you should have received a packet when you came in. Did the teachers get a blue bag when you came in? Yes, if you're looking at read information, you should have a book in there. That's some of the books that we have already covered this year. So each one of you got a different book. So if you're from the same school, you know, you can share a book. That's the type of things that we're trying to do, is make the difference in literacy. Okay. And we have other programs that they're familiar with how to do that, but because of time, we're going to move on. So we're going to have communication today. We're going to have a conversation. Anyone can tell me what it means to have a conversation? Do what now? Yeah, have a talk with someone. When you have a talk with somebody, that's only one person, right? Let's give them a round of applause. Amen. God, well done. Thank you. Thank you. We have a talk with Ernie King has a lot of talk with some of the people that's in their family. So we have another presentation for
you. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Mrs. Coretta King had 4 children. First came Yolanda Denise King. Her nickname was Josie. So cool. When she was a girl, she wanted to be an actress. She loved acting and pursued that. Yoki worked very hard on being the best actress she could be. Yoki had starring roles in movies. Then came Martin Luther King III. His name is Ray, and he loved sports and music when he was a young boy. Martin grew up to be a politician and motivational speaker. Martin has spoken to thousands of people all over the world. After Martin is Dexter Scott King. Dexter was named after Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, where King Dexter when he was a young boy. Businessman and chairman of the board of the King Center. Last but not least is Bernice Albertine King. Her name was Bunny, and loves with her. She also loved us. Bernice is a minister, lawyer, and the CEO of the King Center.
All right. Let's give a round of applause for the siblings. All right. Very good. Who knows how many siblings Dr. King had? How many siblings? objectives as well as the kids to have a good time. All right. So our first team that we're calling up is from, I'm just going to round this, Warranty Jackson. Is Warranty Jackson here? Could you bring that team up? They should be already in position over here. The three people, where are they? All right. The sooner you can come, the sooner we can get started because we're trying to get more than one group of. You should have your teams that's been selected towards the area so we can go. All right. 1, 2. They don't know who it is, so we need to move on to another school. Okay. All right. Let's go. We got to go. We got to go. All right. Thank you. Welcome. While you coming, I'm going to give you the directions. First of all, this is a thing. Come on up. Keep coming, young man. Keep coming up the steps. Where's the young lady supposed to be helping? Direct the students. There you go. Come on out, young man. You're doing a great job. Come on. That's it. Come on, folks. You can stand here. Stand out here so everybody can see. There you go. We're waiting for your partners. Will you tell them who you are?
Hazen.
Hazen. All right. Let's hear it for Hazen.
Killian.
Say it again.
Killian.
All right. Let's hear it for Killian. All right.
Ella.
Ella. And let's hear it for Ella. Okay. The voice is going to give us a question. And don't worry about it because you're going to work as a team. You're going to come up with your answer. Then you're going to share. You're going to think about what it should be. Then you're going to share your answer. Then y'all can come with a consensus. And then once you come with the consensus, you're going to think, pair, you're going to share with the audience. And the audience is going to let us know if we right or wrong. So we all get to participate. All right. Give me a question. Turn around. Do not yell it out. I know you know the answer. Don't yell it out. Give them time. Where were Dr. King and his sister born? A, Greater Hospital. B, in the fire station. C, at home. Or D, Piedmont Hospital, Stockbridge. Now, while they're thinking about that, you read the book. You read the book, right? The teacher read the book to you? Very good. And it was in there. So let's count from 5 backwards. And at that time, we'll get an answer. Y'all talk to each other and let us know what the answer is going to be. Let's go. 5, 4. All right, then we turn around. Who's gonna be the spokesperson? It's gonna be you? All right.
At home.
At home? Was he born at home, boys and girls? Yes, they are absolutely correct. Born at home. Somebody paid attention. Who read the book to you? Your teacher read it to you? Oh, you just knew. Well, good job. That's the right answer. Let's give her a round of applause. You'll go that way, and she has something for you. That way. All right. We may have time for one more school, and that's going to probably be it. And let's see who that's going to be. Beecher Elementary School. Do you have your? That's what I'm talking about. Here they come. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Voice, will you go ahead and give us the question? Due to time, we're just trying to make sure we make up for some of the time. Come on over. Come on over. All right.
Rhys. Aubrey. Makai.
All right. Let's give him a question. Turn around. Okay, I'll read it for you. What did Dr. King say when his mother dear told him why he could no longer play with his white friends? A, I'm going to play with my friends anyway. B, that is not nice. C, I'm going to turn this world upside down. Or D, none of the above. All right, think about it and get together with each other. Come up with your answer. All right. Oh, I'll be here. Shh, don't tell them the answer. Good job. All right, let's count. 0. All right, I forgot 0 was in there, wasn't it? That's a good job. All right, you want to turn around? Who's going to be the spokesperson? You are? Okay. I'm going to. Then y'all get together and decide what the answer is going to be? You got to read. You said, what is it?
We said the answer will be C.
Very good, because if you ain't got that answer, you've been wrong. That is absolutely correct. Let's give them a round of applause Thank you, guys. I do apologize. We had to cut it short because of the lateness of arrival. But thank those who participated. But you may go that way. All right. But I want to let you know that we're not going to let your teachers off the hook. So we had teacher and we had Warren T. Jackson. We're going to pull Fickett Elementary School. All right, come on up. Let's come on. Yes, it's time to take a teacher and put that teacher on the spot. All right. Hey, how you doing? That's good. Now, I know you was a straight A student in school and did all this stuff, and even if you didn't do your homework, you have the ability to come up with the right answer. So I'm going to ask you a question, and if you give me the right answer, we have a prize for you too. Okay. All right. So the King Center has a program that's designed for supporting the social, emotional learning objective for schools. Do you know what that program is called?
The Reading Corner.
Is she right, boys and girls? Oh, I know why they said she's not right. What did she leave out? Okay. There you go, student with King. Stand up. Yeah, right here. Do you want to say it? Mm-hmm. Bring a prize to this young man because he helped to teach out. Student with King. All right, job well done. So let's give her a round of applause, and that's it. Just give her the card. Come back up this way. All right, now that was a lot of excitement. I truly appreciate that. For those schools that didn't get a chance, I do apologize due to the lateness of the school. But your teacher do have a book that they will share with you all, and we thank you for coming. But at this time, I'm so happy to introduce a dear friend of me. Normally I have an hour introduction, but due to the time, I'm gonna have to shorten it to about 30 seconds. This individual, a lot of you have seen on television, and you might, well, maybe you haven't, your parents have, because most of you probably don't watch news, but you might have seen her in the community. And I'm going to introduce my dear friend, Ms. Deetra Dukes from Fox 5 Television. She's going to be the moderator for the discussion. Come on out, Deetra.
Good morning. It is so wonderful to see you all out here. I have participated for several years. We missed in person last year because of COVID, and so it's wonderful to be back here with all of you. And I know that you all have been working with your teachers. You've read the book. You have a lot of great questions, I know, for our panelists today. So we're going to get started. And as we talk to our panelists, I want you all to really come up with some questions if you haven't already done so. And we're going to give you the opportunity at some point to ask questions of our panelists, okay? All right, and I know this is a bright group, that you all are very smart, because I was standing back there and I heard that not one person who was asked missed a question during our game session. Am I right? All right, well, let's get going. At this time, my panelists can join me on the stage. Wherever you'd like to sit. You can sit next to me. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to let you. You all will be sharing a mic. And there you go, sir. And I'm making brief introductions here, and then I'm going to give our panelists an opportunity to tell you a little bit more about themselves before we start getting into the question portion of our program this morning. So we're joined here on stage by Mr. Isaac Ferris Jr. He is Dr. King's nephew. Welcome him. Dr. Valda Montgomery, and Dr. Montgomery and her parents played a major role in the civil rights movement, and they're also good friends of Dr. King. And Dr. Albert Paul Brinson, a personal friend and colleague of Dr. King's, and he also was very instrumental in the civil rights movement. Thank you all for joining us this morning. Well, sir, we're going to start with you. And I'd just like you and our other panelists to just tell us a bit about yourselves and your relationship with Dr. King, and anything else you'd like to add as we get underway.
Good morning. Good morning. All right. Yes, as our great MC has told you, I am Isaac Newton Ferris Jr. I'm the nephew of Dr. King. Some of you might be wondering, well, if you're related to Dr. King, why is your last name Ferris and his last name is King? And that's because my mother, Christine King, was his sister. And when she married my father, of course, her last name changed to Ferris, which is why my last name is Ferris. I also serve as senior fellow here at the King Center. So it's very exciting to have you all here today to learn about the life of Dr. King. And I just would like to add, before I pass it off to my co-panelists, one thing I want you to remember about Dr. King, and that was he was a student just like you, okay? So that means you can be like Dr. King. And that doesn't mean that you have to give great speeches. Doesn't mean that you have to lead demonstrations. It just means that you have to treat everybody with love and respect. And then you too can be like Dr. King. Okay? All right. Dot.
Good morning. Okay. I met them I'm from Montgomery, Alabama. Do you know where that is? Okay. I'm from Montgomery, Alabama. In Montgomery, Alabama? Okay, well, I'll talk with you later. Okay? I might know them. I'm from Montgomery, Alabama, and I live in a neighborhood, I grew up in a neighborhood called Centennial Hill in Montgomery, which at that time was a affluent African-American neighborhood in Montgomery. So you had your doctors, your lawyers, your legislators, your ministers, etc. And they built the Dexter Avenue church home, the minister's home, in that neighborhood, which is 2 doors down from where I live. So in 1954, the newlywed couple came in, and let me back up a little bit. I was only 6 years old. Anybody in here 6 years old? 7 years old? All right. Okay, we'll just go back last year. Okay, 6 years old. When this newlywed couple moved in, right down the street from us, 2 doors down from us, and of course, we had already been in and out of that house long before they came in. And we went down to the house to greet the newlywed couple. They had no children, first home, first assignment, etc. And that newlywed couple was Martin Luther King and his wife, Coretta Scott King. And from that point on, our families became extremely close. I was 8 years old when Yolanda was born. Actually, I was 7 and I turned 8 2 weeks later. When Yolanda was born, as we say, we called her Yoki. So my sister and I were the, quote, older kids on the block, she being 9 and me being 8. So we kind of took care of them. And then Martin was born in 1957 along with my brother. So all of them used to ride their tricycles up and down the street, you know, that kind of thing. So they were our neighbors for 6 years. And there's a lot of stories that I can tell you about how wonderful that couple was, how wonderful that family was as neighbors. Okay? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
It should be on.
Good morning. When I look at you, I remember when I first got out of college, my first job was an elementary school teacher at Peter James Bryant Elementary School then. But I only lasted for 3 years. In all seriousness, I'm Albert Paul Brinson, and my relationship with the King family has been a lifetime experience. When my mother raised 3 boys, and our father was not in the home at that time. He'd left. So Martin Luther King Sr. Became a surrogate father to me. And so it meant that his children, Christine, ML, AD, were family to me all of my life. And because of that, my whole life was affected. We are sitting, and we're sitting right now in a spot that is directly across the street from Our Lady of Lourdes Roman Catholic School. Now, I went to Catholic school for the first 8 years of my education, from first grade to 8th grade. Right in, and the school sits, so it's right in the back of the King Senior, where the King Senior's birth home was. The playground and all is right there. And Ebenezer, of course, is right down here. And I lived in the public housing project, which is Grady Homes Inn. So every morning, I would get up and walk all the way up from, it's about 8 blocks down, long blocks, all the way up the boulevard, and to go to Lady of Lourdes School. But before that, 1 block was Ebenezer Baptist Church, and that was a place that became the home that for me and for a lot of other people had their lives turned around. I first met the Kings because Reverend King Sr. was a pastor, and Mrs. Alberta Williams King was his wife, who we used to always talk about, as we said, was a co-pastor. Because she reached out and pulled all of us together as a church family. And so I became sort of a little brother to Chris, to ML Jr., and to AD. And that relationship has lasted even now, even now with Dr. Christine King Ferris, who is now in her 95th year. And in another month, if I make it, I will be 85. So it's a great surprise. But my involvement in terms of the Kings and the civil rights has a long time to it. I was baptized by Reverend King Sr. When I was 8 years old. And growing up, I went to David T. Howard High School, which is not too far from here, within walking distance of where we sit. It was a high school in this area. And this is a Fourth Ward area where people said that nothing good could ever come out of Fourth Ward. But in terms of history, out of Fourth Ward, you heard the name of Vernon Jordan, Maynard Jackson, of course, Martin Luther King. All of this is Fourth Ward, where we all came from. And growing up, when I went to high school, okay, I'm sorry, you just let it ring. It's probably a bill collector.
Well, I'll give you a minute to answer that, or to put it on silent. It'll go off? Okay.
Okay. It's nice music anyway. But when after high school, during that time, I grew up. I lived in and out of the King home. Reverend King Sr. and Alberta Williams King were family to me. Even when I finally married, got out of college. Well, before I went to college, this is an interesting moment. When we were getting ready, I was getting ready to graduate from high school. Well, ML Jr., we were talking about where I was going to go to college. And so, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was, of course, a great Morehouse man. And so he said to me, "Now, Albert, you could never get into Morehouse. Today, an oil portrait of me hangs in the Martin Luther King International Chapel." Because I went on to become the indirect line successor to Henry Lyman Morehouse, who was a white man for whom the college was named, but he was the responsibility that I had, but I retired and went into ministry, which came through Martin Luther King Jr. ultimately, I guess. I became the Associate General Secretary for World Mission Support, and this meant I was responsible for the $42 million budget. I never had a penny of it now. But it was all a part of what goes out of the King life. But this, and I'll move on. But I am in ministry today largely because of my connection with this family. When in Birmingham, we were talking just out here a few minutes ago, but when during the 60s, what we had, first of all, the student movement, when I was in college, we sat in. You know what sit-ins were? Well, sit-ins were when you went to if you wanted to go to Burger King or to McDonald's or any of the restaurants, they had to go. Colored people couldn't go in often. You had to stand outside of the window or be served or something, or you couldn't go to restrooms or anything. And so, as a result of that, when we were in college during my age grouping, we organized what was called sit-ins, and this means that we would go as colored people or Negroes. Those are the nicer names they called us. Where's your sense of humor? But we sat in. We had it on March 9th, 1960. We introduced the sit-in movement in Atlanta, and the first student being arrested and placed on the front page of the 5-star final pink edition of the Atlanta Journal is Albert Paul Brinson. And I remember we went to jail after we were arrested. And that evening, when we were in cell blocks, one man whom I was so glad to see came in out with a man holding a pad, and it was Reverend King Sr. And so he said, I can pay he looked at it, he smiled at me. I was sitting on a row there, and in that same room and being held for sitting in was A.D. King, the other King brother. And so Reverend King looked at me, he smiled, and he said, I'll pay, I have a property bond, and I'll pay for A.D. King and Albert Brinson, and at that time, Otis Moss. So it was there are a lot of stories I could tell you for sitting here today, but that's me.
Yes.
Well, I would just add, he went to jail so that none of you have to go to jail now. Okay, let's give him a hand.
And we'll talk more about that later. Young man, I see you have your hand up. We do have a mic.
Well, can they bring it? It moves, doesn't it? Maybe if you bring it down.
Want me to move
Is
it
that
down?
one of the cordless mics?
No, it has a cord.
But the cord starts from up here, right?
No,
Oh, it doesn't? Okay.
no, it's right here.
In fact, those of you with your hands up, in the interest of time, if you'd like to go ahead and form a line, and we will get to you, okay?
Yes, thank you. We should have said that at the beginning. We do apologize.
And while you all are making your way to the microphones to ask your questions, I did want to ask you, I'm sorry. Oh. They are engaged. I love it. Keep your listening ears open though, because we have a lot of great conversations and information and things that you will not see in your history books as you make your way there. But I'm just so happy to see that so many people have questions for our panelists today. But I did want to talk to you about the fact that so much of what we hear about Dr. King and we learn about him in class, we're learning about him as an adult in the civil rights movement, his great work there. But I know that you have heard such wonderful stories from your mom about how he was as a child, around these children's ages.
Yes. First off, like I said earlier, it's important that you remember that Dr. King was just like you. He had friends just like you do. And I heard you all earlier, I believe I heard Donald Bullock talking about a great disappointment that he had as a child. Do you remember that? Him coming home and being upset with his mother? Do you all remember that story? And do you remember why he was upset? he couldn't play with his friend. And why couldn't he play with his friend?
Okay.
Right here. Well, yes, because he was black and his friend was white. Now I'm looking out here and I see beautiful white children and I see beautiful black children. And do y'all play together?
Yes.
You do? Because it doesn't sound like it. Do y'all play together?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
There you go.
ready
You
with
can hear
that
them now,
question.
Right. I was just wondering. And so he had a lot of stories like this. But also, one thing that you might not know about Dr. King was he liked to play sports. Right? Did you know that? You knew that? Did you know that? How did you know, the young lady in the pink? How did you know that? With all people, and he was a very good swimmer too, by the way. Does anybody in here swim? Do you all swim? You know how to swim? Yeah, all y'all know how to swim? Okay, well then another way that you're like Dr. King, he was a very, very good swimmer. And I think I see you all's questions, but I see we've got questions up
Yes,
here.
and they're
and so-
ready.
yeah,
Young lady.
She's been waiting. She's excited
Yes,
to
let's let her
answer
get her
the question.
question in.
Yes.
My name is Skyler, and I'm from Jackson Elementary. What were the 60s like?
Well, you two can definitely weigh in on that.
But for the sake of time, we're going to ask Dr. Montgomery, will you answer that for the young lady so we can get to another question?
Okay, the 60s were really a horrible time for Black people, because I know that you've heard of the bombing of the children in Birmingham. That was in the 60s. We also could not go to places. It was during segregation. Do you know what that word is? Have you heard of it before?
Yes, I know what the
Who
word
knows what
is.
segregation is? Okay, what is it? Tell me. That's right. That's absolutely right. You perfect term. It kept us separated. We couldn't go to the schools. We couldn't go to the parks. We couldn't eat in the restaurants. We could go to the bathrooms, any of those kinds of things. Okay. But on the fun side of the 60s, the music was great because it was Motown. Have you heard of Motown before?
No.
And you haven't heard of Motown? Girl, you haven't heard of Motown?
Ask your parents about Motown. when
Motown,
you
that's
get home.
right. Ask your parents about Motown. But it was a lot of good music, a lot of good Black music, and we could go from house to house and party and have a lot of fun at the same time. But during the 60s, just remember, it was a horrible time for Black people. A lot
Okay,
of killings.
Thank
I'm sorry, I
you.
didn't mean to cut you off. In the interest of time, I think we probably should let the children ask one question
Yes.
apiece,
Right.
because we've got such a long line there and such a great group.
My name is Rodriguez Moreland, and I am from Fickett Elementary. And my question is, did any of Martin Luther King's sons play football?
They did. His son Dexter played football and went to a school called Frederick Douglass High School. Have y'all ever heard of Frederick Douglass? And have you heard of the school Frederick Douglass High School? Yes. Dexter King, Dr. King's younger son, played football there, and the position he played was linebacker, and he also played fullback. So he ran with the ball a few times, and he tackled people. His other son, Martin, did not play football, but he played basketball. And he was a pretty good basketball player as well.
All right, next question.
My name is Ernie Long, and I'm from Fickett Elementary. And my question is, when y'all did sit-ins, were y'all like physically hurt? Did they put their hands on y'all?
When we did sit-ins, they arrested us, but they didn't put their hands on us except to put cuffs on us where necessary. And they also lined us up to go out to get into what we call a paddy wagon. That was a big police truck where you went into the back door and stepped up the steps and went in to be taken off to jail. That's as much as I think that's as close to answer as I can give you on that one.
I would like to add that Uncle Albert, and I call him Uncle Albert because as he's told you, he's so close to our family, was fortunate because there were a lot of students that did have things put on, milkshakes poured on them, water poured on them, and people actually hit them. Because of their commitment to nonviolence, those students did not strike back. So remember that took a lot of strength. It takes more strength to walk away from a fight than to actually fight. Always remember that it takes more strength to walk away from a fight than to fight.
Thanks. I'd like to add one thing if I can. Sure. During the time I was the leader of a group that went to, there were several groups went to certain restaurants, and at the same time all over Atlanta. We walked in at the same time and sat down. So in the restaurant where I went, which is right across from the old Union Station, railroad station then, when I sat down with 8 other people, and I was in charge of the group, we sat down, and this was at 11:30. Right, lunchtime was getting ready to start. And so the waitress came over and snatched up off the table the salt and pepper shakers and everything, and the silver. It was plastic. We called it silver. And they took off the table, and then came back with a man and brought back a white man. Came back with her, and he said, "Well, why are you here? What do you want?" And I said, "Sir, I was a spokesperson for the group, and we had spokespersons for each group." And I said, "Sir, we came here to be served, and we intend to sit here until we are served or told why we cannot be served." And so he turned and walked away. And the next thing we know, looking all out in the window, crowds began to come out of the Atlanta Journal newspaper directly across the street, and Rich's department store. And they began to come out of the store and come out of the street. They were police were that quick. We began to blow whistles and all and move traffic. And it was not before long, that we heard the man come in, and he said to me, that this is Mr. T. And he looked at me because I was the one who was sitting there speaking. And he said, well, you told you cannot be served here, so what do you intend to do? And I said again, "Sir, we intend to sit here until be served or to be told until we're told why we cannot be." And so he said, "Well, come with me." And we all had to get up. And we started walking out into the streets, newspapers. That's how my picture ended up being the front page of the Atlanta Journal that afternoon, because they were making pictures of us, and they ushered us right on up into the patio. But that was, a result. I thought you ought to know that. We stuck together, and we were together, and there was a religious attitude over the whole thing, a positive attitude over the whole spirit.
Young lady, you have a question?
My name is Rhys Kim, and I'm from Beecher Hills. My question is for Dr. Montgomery. My question is, was segregation worse in the South or in the North?
Was segregation worse in the South or the North?
It was for her.
Segregation was worse in the South, okay? For instance, my mother came from Charleston, South Carolina, and when she moved to Montgomery, someone asked her that same question, and she said they had segregation in South Carolina, but this Alabama was the deep South, and it was brutal in the South. People died because of that.
Thank you.
But it's important that you know that there was segregation in the North as well. And it was not maybe as harsh, but still blacks and whites could not live in the same neighborhood, for instance, even in the North.
And can I say something just before you answer that question? When you mentioned about the sit-ins, I just wanted to say there was a training. We had to learn how to do the sit-ins. It wasn't just wake up and decide. I think that's what I'll do today. I'll be nonviolent. We took nonviolent lessons and trainings in the afternoon, much like you would go to football practice or piano lessons. We all met and had to learn how to do this, learn how to take all of that type of abuse and deal with it and be nonviolent.
That's a very important point. Thank you for adding that. Our next question.
How many times did he get sent in jail?
You're asking the group or Dr. King?
Dr. King.
All righty, thank you.
Dr. King went to jail 29 times. 29 times.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person. State your name.
And I just want to say again, he went to jail. Uncle Albert went to jail. I believe, Dr. Montgomery, did you ever? Did you ever? Never did.
My dad was mad because he didn't.
Okay, but I was gonna say they went to jail so you don't have to go to jail now. Okay, I want to be clear about that. You don't have to go to jail now because they went to jail for you, right? So we're not gonna be committing anything that takes us to jail, right? I can't. Maybe I'm not hearing.
Not everyone answered.
We're not going to do anything that causes us to go to jail, right? All right, all right.
Loud and clear that time.
May I just add one thing quickly? When we were,
Well, I'm trying to get all these questions. I don't want to miss out the kids. Go ahead, sir.
I just wanted to say that we practiced on what could happen to when we went to jail.
Yeah.
We had white students to come and spit on us and kick us and call us nigger. And so that we, in the real actual activity, so that we would learn how not to get angry, not to respond violently, because then it would all be lost, the cause of the sit-in.
All right, young lady.
My name is Josie, and I'm from Jackson. How long was this speech?
Which speech? Is there a particular speech of Dr. King's that you like?
I have a dream.
The I Have a Dream speech.
The I Have a Dream speech was approximately about 20, 25 minutes, no longer than 30 minutes. And I don't know if you've ever seen the speech, but if you get a chance, look at the speech and you'll see that about halfway through the speech, he stops reading the speech that he had written and he starts speaking directly from his heart. And so that's one of the thrilling things about that speech is that, he really, the important parts that you remember, the I have a dream and one day my 4 little kids will be judged by the content of their character. All of that was what we call spontaneous. It means it came out of him. He did not write any of that down. So I just want to add that. And then also I just want to add just one quick thing. You heard Uncle Albert talk about the names that people were called, and you heard one last name there, and you heard the N word, right? Do we know what the N word is? Okay, and so that's how we refer to that. We really don't like to use that word. We when instead of using that word, we just say the N word, right? Because everybody knows what that means, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, does everybody know what that means?
Yes.
All right. All right.
Young man, your question?
My name is George, and I'm from Jackson. And my question is, how many times did y'all have to walk down streets and have protests?
For us, it was at least 10 years. Okay, it wasn't something that happened overnight. It started for me when I was 8 with the Montgomery bus boycott in Montgomery, Alabama, and you go all the way through for us for the Selma to Montgomery March. But then, of course, after 1965, they still continued. And as he said, we're still doing it now.
And one thing, just right quickly, protests have all continued to go on. The right to vote for all people. I had the privilege of working in South Africa with the Independent Electoral Commission for the first free and open elections where we elected Nelson.
Next question. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to?
Yeah, I just want to say, young man, young man, young man, young man, young man, young man. What's your name, by the way? What's your name quickly? What's your name? George, I just want to say to you that that's not over. You might, when you grow up, you might want to, you might discover something's wrong and that you want to change, and that's how you change it. So you might one day grow up and you might want to protest something, right? As long as you do it non-violently. So this is not over. This is how you change things in society, that and voting. Just wanted to add that. So don't be afraid of that. You might look up one day and you might decide, hey, I want to change something. That's how you do it.
Thank you. Great questions, everyone. Our next question.
Hi, my name is Diet, and I have a question about, as Martin Luther King, as a kid, what did he like to do with his friends?
Oh, what did Dr. King like to do when he was a child with his friends, activities?
He liked to do a lot of the same things you do. He liked to play sports. He liked to swim. He was a good pool player as well. He could have, Dr. King, had he not been a preacher, and Uncle Albert can back me up on this, he could have been a professional pool player. Really, that's how good he was. He was very good at that. So much in like the things you do, he did as well.
Thank you.
My name is Cora. I'm from Jackson. And what was the name of the person that shot Martin Luther King in the jaw?
Well, the name that history has assigned that task to is a gentleman by the name of James Earl Ray. But you're a little young now. As you get older and learn more about it, you'll find that we're not quite sure about that. There's been a lot of discrepancies or disagreement about that. But for right now, his name is James Earl Ray, that we know was a part of it. We're not sure if he actually was the guy that pulled the trigger, but we know he was a part of it. Maybe, and when you grow up, you can help us determine who that person truly was. Thank you for that question, though.
You're welcome.
My name's Michaela, and I'm from Jackson Elementary, and I was wondering, where did he get shot?
Oh my God. He got shot in a place called Memphis, Tennessee. Have y'all been hearing about Memphis recently? Anybody been hearing about Memphis quickly? How'd you hear about Memphis? Tell me. Okay, but there's something that's happened recently. Did anybody hear about? Yes, sir. Okay, but the reason why I was mentioning that, it happened in Memphis, Tennessee, and unfortunately, we just had an incident where some policemen treated a young man the wrong way recently in Memphis, Tennessee. And so that's why I thought you might have heard about that. So.
Thank you. Our next question, we're trying to get them all in.
My name is Marley Jones Wright. I'm from Beecher Hills Elementary School, and my question is any of Martin Luther King children alive?
Unfortunately, there's one who is no longer alive. He had 4 children. His oldest child, Yolanda, who we call Yoki, and as a matter of fact, where we're sitting is named after Yolanda. We're in the Yolanda King auditorium. She passed away, but the other 3 kids are alive and well. And his oldest son, Martin Luther King III, is alive, well, married, and has given our family Dr. King's first grandchild. And her name is Yolanda too. and she's a little older than you all. Let's see, you all said you all was seven. Okay, she is 8. Okay, she is 14, so she's just a little older than you all are, but is the only grandchild of Dr. King. Thank you for that question.
All right, next question.
Thank you.
My name is Ariella, and I'm at Jackson Elementary. And my question is Martin Luther King Jr.'s house still up, or do they have to rebuild it?
Actually, it is still up, and they're in the process of restoring it as to how it looked when he was there. So when you come back, maybe this time next year, as a matter of fact, I think you all went to the church. Did you all go to the church? Oh, you didn't go to the...
They came here first.
Okay, I think you're going to be going to the church when you leave here. And also you might, I don't know, there's a birth home up the street where Dr. King was born. But the house that he actually lived in with his wife, my Aunt Coretta, and his 4 kids is being restored right now as we speak. So maybe when you come back next year, you'll also get a chance to be taken through a tour through that house. It is still alive. It's on a street called Sunset Avenue in a part of town called Vine City.
Thank you.
Young lady in pink, you have your hand up. You want to make your way to the mic, and then we can try to get your question
Let me just
in.
answer that on the house itself too. If you come to Montgomery, Alabama, you'll get a chance also to see the house the first home that he lived in with his wife when he was a minister in Montgomery. It's still up and it is open for tourism. Okay.
Okay, and the young lady in pink who's making her way up, she'll have to be our last question after we answer the questions of the 2 young men there. These have been great questions, by the way. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Yes. All right, young man, your question?
So my name is Zion. I'm from Global Leadership Academy. I want to thank you all for your service in the civil rights movement. And my question is, what happened to Martin Luther King's siblings?
The siblings, one of the siblings is my mother, who is still alive. She worked here at the King Center before retiring, and also was a college professor at Spelman College. Ended up being the longest serving faculty member there. She served for like 51 years there. And then he had a brother, A.D. King. And unfortunately, 1 year after my uncle was shot in Memphis, his brother, my other uncle, A.D. King, was found drowned in his home, in the pool at his home. We do feel, because he was a very good swimmer like my uncle. As a matter of fact, they won championship contests down here at the Butler Street Y when they were going up. We do feel that his death was suspicious. But he died 1 year later, found drowned in his pool at home.
Thank you.
And Christine King Ferris was also instrumental, along with Coretta Scott King, in the creation of the King Center as well.
Yes.
We definitely don't want you all to leave without
Thank you for
realizing that.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Next question.
So my name is Earl Ray Abadinman, and I'm homeschooled, but I'm also part of Global Leadership Academy. And my question is, was Martin Luther King homeschooled?
Oh, was Dr. King homeschooled?
He was not homeschooled in the way that you are thinking of homeschooling. He did attend school, but of course, his mother was an educator herself, and so she did her part when he would come home after school. But he did go, like you are going, to a school. And I know that you're at the Global Leadership Academy, and so I know you'll be going to a high school, right? Right after this. We know that because you have to do that by law. But what's going to be really important is that you are going to go to another school after high school, right? Right? It might be a 4-year college, or it might be a specialized training, but you've got to go to another school after you leave high school, right? Right?
Yes.
And that goes for all of y'all in here. You know you got to go to one more school after high school, right? You got to go to one more school after high school, right? All right.
All right, thank you, young man. We've got one more, yes, the young lady in pink.
My name is Ella. I'm from Jackson, and my question is, how old was Dr. Luther King Jr.'s kid when she died, and how long has she been dead for?
How was Yolanda when he died? Is that what you're asking? When she died. I'm sorry. Yolanda was 39, almost about the same age as her father when he was assassinated. I'm sorry. Yolanda was 42. I'm sorry. She was 42. And in terms of how long Dr. King has been dead now, it's been 50, I think 50, what was it, 60, it was 68, 69, 55 years. Yes, 55 years now.
Thank you all so much. That's going to be our last question. Mr. Bullock, are you coming back to the stage? I see he's wrapping things up. I know you're very busy getting ready for our next group. Thank you all so much. Great questions. This has been one of the best groups by far, I'd say, in recent years, as far as the number of questions you had, and they were all great questions. Thank you all so much, and you all enjoy the rest of your day. We're going to turn it back over to Mr. Bullock.
All right, let's give them a round of applause for a job well done. Teachers, this was amazing with the questions. Let's give the students a round of applause for a job well done. And students, let's give your teachers a round of applause for thinking about you all and bringing you here. I trust that you had a great time. Okay, at this time, I will once again thank the panel. I'm going to let the panel exit so that if they need to take care of support before that next program, they can. And then we're going to bring on a young lady who's going to share with the voice the gifts that those who participated today will receive. So after the panel exit, then I would turn it over to the voice. Like they want to hear that. All right. Okay, voice, I think we forgot something. Do you remember what it was we forgot? And then we're going to have to dismiss our students. We got 3 minutes to do this. What was it?
Well, Donald, as a matter of fact, we forgot to give our student contestants their prizes.
Oh, I always forget that. Students don't want prizes, do you? Oh, okay then. Well, I'll turn this over to the voice and our Vander White.
That's our lovely Bridget. And for our student contestants, okay, so Bridget, would you like to show our contestants what they've won? Well, it looks like they've won a awesome, what is that?
It's a book.
That is a book. Yes.
And where did that book come from?
That book came from the Reading Corner, the Students with King Reading Corner.
Don't forget to read your script. It's important to Student with King Reading Corner.
And they're going to also receive a King Center themed bookmarker and a Coretta Scott King quote pencil and a King Center themed wristband. And is that all, Bridget?
That's all for the students.
Right.
Let's give a round of applause for those students that received. Teachers, if you had a student that received a card, would you send them to the table right now so they can receive that gift? Don't go nowhere.
And Donald?
I know the gift for the teacher.
That's right.
But I want the students to start moving because we're running out of time. I do apologize. We got a lot of middle school and high school kids out there waiting to get in here. So be careful when you're exiting it. All right, You can take it back again.
Okay, and for our awesome teacher on the spot.
No, don't leave, y'all. Only those kids that have cards. All of you don't have cards. There's only six of you. The rest of you remain and wait on your teachers. You do nothing without your teacher's permission. I can't give you permission to do anything but enjoy yourself, okay?
All right, for
Tell
that
us what they
awesome
have.
student teacher that was caught on the spot, a new car. Oh, I'm sorry, that's another show. Okay, she's going to receive a classroom set of Students with King Reading Corner books. And she's going to receive a King Center themed coffee mug so she can stay up late at night putting A's and B's on all her students' papers. And what was that? I didn't see that, Bridget. All right. Very nice.
Okay. So the teacher who
Excellent.
received that, come on out and get it, please. All right. And let's give
King
that
Center
teacher a round of
bookmarker.
applause for job well
Give
done.
her a warm round of
Students,
applause.
you should have received yours. And on behalf of the King Center, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, we're going to start dismissing on your teacher's direction. Teachers, just like to remind you that the Rangers are waiting on you to take you on your tour. We're going to exit out of here and to the outside. They are waiting on you. And it's a lot of middle school and high schools out there, so please be careful. We'll start with the back. You want to exit the back, and then the front. The group up here can exit up this way. The back and then the middle go next.